The world's only Mothman Museum. Look over there at the post office. Look over there. There's the Mothman. He's frozen in time. Museum time.
After a long day on the job, 50-year-old sewing machine salesman Roadside returns home. When his wife greets him, she is shocked by his appearance.
His wife said that he could have not been any whiter if he had been lying in a coffin.
A fear-frozen Derek pulls himself together and shares the story of his confounding commute. At his wife's urging, Derek relays his experience to police and whispers of the story to spread. A local news station arranges for an interview, and details of a chilling encounter go public. All of the footage has vanished. The original audio recordings of that interview are preserved at the Mothman Museum.
Last night, shortly after 7 o'clock, I was coming down Interstate 77. Texas. Unidentified objects flew directly in front of my car.
A hatch opens. A man steps out. His spacecraft then shoots up to about 75 feet over the highway.
An awe-stricken Derek watches as the figure slowly approaches the car.
He had dark hair that was slicked straight back. He was wearing a long black coat with a beaming smile.
He said, "Don't be frightened, we wish you were home. We wish you only heaven."
The humanoid introduces himself as Ingrid Cole. And while his intentions are not clear, he does reveal that he's a searcher from a distant planet of beings who eat, sleep, and breathe just like humans.
The conversation lasted 5 to 10 minutes, and Cole ended the conversation with the words,
Mr. Nuremberger, we will be seeing you again.
When Derek concludes his tale, the skeptical interviewer digs deeper.
there were questions that were trying to discredit Mr. Derenberger.
6 or 7 feet tall, with hypnotic red eyes and a wingspan of 10 feet in width. It was like a man with wings, Mallet had said. Linda Scarberry compared it to looking like what some would describe as an angel. Within seconds of seeing the wing beam, they took off in Rogers' 1956 Chevy Bel Air, exceeding speeds of over 100 miles an hour. They raced their way back towards town trying to escape the creature, but that didn't stop the thing from keeping up with him as he flew over the top of the car, keeping right along with him as they sped straight to the Point Pleasant police office. From that point on, things changed for Roger and Linda and their friends Steve and Mary Mallet, all because of the events of that fateful night on November 15th, 1966. They were never the same, as some believe that night was the pinnacle event that resulted in more strange things to come to the small town of Point Pleasant, Missouri.
According to their viewers, the figure communicated with them through telepathic relay that he comes in peace. So, is Derenberger telling the truth? As police investigate the case of his encounter with Ingrid Cole,
There he is.
several witnesses step forward with new evidence.
The same night, there was a gentleman driving south on I-77 that saw a man on the side of the road that fit the exact description of Ingrid Cole.
Other residents call police and report seeing beams and streaks of light in the sky that same evening. Yet no one can verify the source of these lights or confirm the identity of Ingrid Cole.
The police never turned up any concrete evidence that Derenberger was stopped by Ingrid Cole or had any communication with him.
The man in black.
Was a product of hallucinations. However, records reveal he had no history of mental illness. Lacking any logical explanation, there There are those who believe that their murder story is a hoax.
There are some that have moved on the attention city event.
But as his notoriety grows, there are murder dreams for life.
Mr. Harrisburg is
Who are those mysterious men in black? Who were the men in black? Watch your back for the men in black. They are said to drive large and always black old-fashioned cars that resemble Lincolns and Cadillacs, with strange logos and insignias. The men in black are always impeccably dressed from head to toe in black suits and white shirts, black ties and black shoes, which all to be perfect in appearance. Their hair is jet black and shiny, and their skin is said to be without blemish, and some reports have stated almost translucent. They are said to have had dark features. Some are reported as having Oriental or Eastern European look, with expressionless faces and movement that sometimes appear to have been robotic in nature. The West Virginia Bigfoot.
Sightings of medium humanoids and giant birds continue around Appalachia. In Pennsylvania, despite the Mothman's lack of popularity, kids still don't go to night without venturing into the TNT area after dark. Tales also circulate amongst the locals, such as one in which hunters encountered a mysteriously large bird in the early morning hours. A group of teenagers even claimed to have found a pile of abnormally large feathers in one of the abandoned TNT bunkers. As the years tick by, the reality of what was encountered began to fade and was replaced by something else, a modern folk tale in the making. Still, an absence of evidence doesn't necessarily indicate evidence of absence, as Leo Wilson discovered in the summer of 1987.
I was in Calhoun County, West Virginia, Union Creek Road. It's outside of Grantsville. My aunt and uncle's old farmhouse. A few months before that, like in the spring, people were talking about like their chickens and stuff coming up missing, overnight. But they would talk about weird noises, but no one had ever talked about actually seeing it. The farmhouse, there's nothing around it, so there's no other residents for like a half a mile from the house that I was staying in. And it was probably 1987, 88, somewhere around there in the summertime.
Hey, all my kids.
It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was just watching and stuff. And across the street from the farmhouse is a hollow on the hill. And I started hearing this noise. You could tell it was some kind of, thought it was kind of bird type thing. I thought maybe it was an owl or something. But it just kept getting closer and closer and louder and louder.
Jeremiah, can you get in with
Yeah,
them?
what I described it as the hollow. They're baffled noises in there. That's the only way I described it. It was that loud and that piercing, and it kind of had kind of a giggling, loud giggling noise to it too. It's really hard to describe. By the time I sat up to look out the window, because I thought whatever this was just want to fly right into the window, it wingspan of this windows.
Hannah, look at this. Come over here and look at this. Look.
And then when I got to that part of the house, and I went up where the house, you actually hear it. You actually heard the say it. And again, not sure what I was going to do. I just see it. Turn around in the back window that you can see the shadow, whatever this was, right there to the back of the house. I've never heard anything like that. Stayed at that house all my life. Never heard it, never seen anything like that again. So, not sure what it was, but it was something that was very large, and very loud, and very fast. Because that holler that came out was probably about a mile long. I was supposed to be on that leading creek road that actually seen something.
I think there were things going on all the way through the 80s and 90s. It's real hard to validate a lot of that stuff because sometimes it comes from other states, but it's hard for me to pinpoint and say that's exactly what they were seeing here in 1966, 67.
We had that other sighting in Parkersburg of the girl having seen it on Quincy Hill. She said when she was in high school in 1987, she and her boyfriend were driving to the top of Quincy Hill, which is the highest location in Parkersburg. Something very similar. They saw this huge creature that was walking across the street. She said it looked like a 6.5-foot insect. She said its legs were going backwards, like an insect's legs, and had these huge wings as well. But she said the thing that stood out to her was this creature had a shuffling gait, like it was not used to walking on its feet. That told me she was kind of good, because I read about the accounts that were Leslie. They all described the monuments in that way.
In the early 1990s, as a local mountain names encountered the Mothman in the TNT area. Talking to Jeff Rose and 2023.
And whispers of the story began to spread. A local news station arranged for interviews and details of a curious encounter.
What's going on? There were sightings already reported, and not just of the creature. The situation was about to become even more terrifying. Through the winter of 1966, sightings of the creature known as the Mothman continued to be reported around Camp Pleasant, West Virginia. Not only were eyewitnesses terrified, and the ocean was filled with their encounters.
What?
Your hair looks physically affected, exhibiting strange burn-like skin and inflamed sore palms. Straight.
I'd like people just to understand that out here to make sure that they don't think that she's a good, because she's not. And what she has said she's seen, she has actually seen.
Still in high school, Connie was driving home when she saw something unusual on the side of the road.
What caught her attention, whether it was a shadow or what, but she said she looked, slowed down, and here it was. Flames come out, they went straight up. She said it hit her right before me. She said, all I could see was the red eyes. I went to the house that night, and her mom met at the door and said she was in bed. She went to her bedroom. Those eyes. That's all she'd ever say was those eyes.
As writer John Keel puzzled over the exact nature and meaning of the creature's sightings, he began to connect them with the dozens of local UFO reports he'd heard.
There was a man here from New York trying to find out as much as he could about the flying saucer.
Doris DeWeeks was one of the people John tracked down and interviewed.
We had gone Madison Avenue over in Point Pleasant, and every night there'd be flying saucers going over. It scared me up. Because, I mean, you know, we had no idea what they were going to do or what their intentions was. We figured they were from outer space or something.
That's where I first saw it. Seen the lights rotating, looked like it was about 4 feet high, maybe 6 or 8 foot wide. And the lights were multicolored, red and white, yellow, green, and it was just circulating like it wasn't making any noise. And
A rather unusual attraction. This 230-year-old creature dragged into a stainless steel very close park, commemorating a series of strange events that first terrorized area residents nearly 50 years ago. Just down the street, Jeff Walmsley runs a small museum filled with files, newspaper clippings, and evidence, all tied to a mystery that some say remains unsolved.
I personally have always been intrigued since I grew up here. This is what people were saying.
What is this menacing creature? November 15, 1966, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. A young couple hangs out at a desolate spot known as the TNT area, a decommissioned World War II era ammunition depot.
The TNT area was sort of like a lover's lane.
But at 11:30 p.m., the couple realizes they are not alone.
They spotted what they thought was a man standing in front of them. They noticed 2 distinct red eyes, like the size of baseballs, hard, and wings wrapped around the eye.
Just as suddenly as the creature appeared before them, it vanishes. The terrified couple heads to town, and when they tell the police their story, they are met with disbelief. That same evening, 90 miles away in Salem, West Virginia, a man named Newell Parker has an unsettling experience.
He was watching TV. All of a sudden, the TV started making a very high-pitched voice.
They were underwater.
As he looked out the back window, he saw her crying, red, white.
This strange apparition also disappears. And after news of 2 similar sightings, nearly 100 miles apart, the local news, hundreds of reports about a terrifying creature with wings and glowing red eyes. event to this mysterious creature.
Farmers begin to talk about unpaid cattle. So their livestock is disappearing.
In response, concerned citizens armed themselves.
Almost like a hunting practice. All out we were expecting one to shot at it.
So what is the Mothman? Some residents think the Mothman sightings are just a case of imaginations run wild, fueled by mass hysteria. But others think that its origins can be traced to the abandoned TNT areas where the Mothman was first spotted.
The TNT area became contaminated with some of these chemicals and explosives that were manufactured there during World War II. This would be a perfect environment for seeing Mothman.
Then, as the mystery grows, in December of 1966, a local farmer named Ace Henry hears a strange noise coming from his barn.
Ace quickly grabs his rifle, runs out to the barn and investigates.
There, he discovers a pair of large, glowing eyes. He immediately takes aim and fires.
He hears something fall to the floor in the barn.
Ace Henry approaches, wondering if he's slain the infamous Mothman. But he soon realizes this is no monster.
In reality, it is a large, white, barn owl.
This owl, now on display at the Mothman Museum, leads some to believe that the glowing red circles they saw were just the light reflecting off the owl's large eyes. And many believe the case is finally closed. But other residents are not convinced.
The Mothman sightings went on for almost a year and a half at a very steady pace. Even in the 70s and 80s, there were some very reliable sources who reported some strange things.
Eventually, Point Pleasant embraces the mysterious creature that put it on the map, and in 2003 erects this 12-foot tall stainless steel statue. And ever since opening his museum 2 years later, Jeff Walmsley has continued his quest for the truth.
I'll keep researching, trying to find pieces of puzzle for the Mothman mystery, and then maybe one day I'll come up with the answer.
In the meantime, this giant Mothman statue looks out over downtown Point Pleasant, where it reminds visitors and residents alike that a strange and terrifying creature may still be out there.
Now we're back. We have the Mothman all to ourselves. The legend of the Mothman. On a chilly fall night in November 1966, two young couples drove into the TNT area north of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, when they realized they were not alone. What they saw that night has evolved into one of the great mysteries of all time. Hence the Mothman legacy began. It has grown into a phenomenon known all over the world by millions of curious people asking questions. What really happened? What did these people see? Has it been seen since? It still sparks the world's curiosity. The mystery behind Point Pleasant, West Virginia's Mothman. Sculpture by Bob Roach, New Haven, West Virginia. Mothman Museum. June 28th, 2024.